I've been making music for decades and I've released more than a couple hundred songs, but recently I realized something that's caught me off guard. The thing is, I'm fluent in music, but I'm not fluent in the platforms where music actually grows today. I've come to the point where I have to admit it, this gap has been holding me back, and so this year I'm fixing it. I've spent time studying how artists grow on socials, and I pinpointed Instagram as the single biggest opportunity for artists like me, which is ones that want to slowly build a growing, real audience. And I created a 12-month plan for myself too, slowly and intentionally, and at a pace that's not going to lead to burnout. I'll share that full roadmap later in the video, but first, I want to walk you through the ideas that shaped it and the real-world patterns that helped me understand what actually works. My regular viewers know enough about me to understand that I come from a different era in music. I started playing in bands in the 1980s and 90s, and when I started, you didn't have to think about social content or algorithms or viewer engagement. Nothing like that. You just wrote songs, you practiced the heck out of them, and if you could, you recorded them. And then your band would go on the road and you'd play in front of live audiences every night, and you hoped eventually you'd play in front of the right person and get seen, right? The world felt simpler back then. You focused on the work, you focused on the craft, you focused on the music, and it was this beautiful shared experience every night. Artists and audience all in the club together, feeling the same energy and vibe. And today, the creative world is just so much noisier. There's more information and more content, and people are overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And our minds are filtering constantly. I've noticed this frustrating fact too. From a viewer point of view, anything that feels like effort actually gets ignored, and anything that feels human, that's what cuts through. And that leads me to social media, and in particular, Instagram. Instagram never felt natural to me because it was built for a world that I just didn't grow up in. It's a world where artists are expected to be present every single day, and a world where your online personality matters as much or more than your music. It's like a world where connections are built in real time. And the moment I realized I was behind was super simple. I just looked at the artists who were growing steadily and I noticed something. Their music wasn't necessarily better than mine, and they weren't necessarily more experienced and probably not more talented. They were simply more visible than I was. They were just building relationships in places where I was not showing up. And I realized really quickly that I need to learn this platform with a lot more intention. So how did I zero in on Instagram? There's so many socials out there. Where do you even begin? Well, one thing my regular viewers also know about me is that I am a total nerd. And so in this case, I just stepped back and I studied the landscape of social media. And that's when it became clear to me. TikTok gives you reach. YouTube Shorts give you evergreen discovery, and Instagram gives you connection. And connection is the currency that should matter the most for indie artists like me. Why? Well, think about it this way. People follow artists who feel familiar to them, and they follow artists who feel understandable and relatable, and they follow artists that make them think like, I feel like that too. That's how belonging starts, and that's how a world forms around your work. So I found out that Instagram is built around identity, storytelling, and community. And it rewards artists that create a world that people want to be a part of. Once you understand that, the entire platform makes a lot more sense. I specifically remember back in the day when people first started using Instagram, I had the worst impression of it. To me, it just seemed like a bunch of pretentious people sharing maybe a little bit too much about themselves and their personal lives and pictures with so many unknown strangers online. And a lot of it seemed fake anyway. It was just this massive turnoff for me, and I wanted no part of it at all. So I avoided it. At one point, though, I was starting to hear like artists and bands were using Instagram to promote themselves, and I thought that might be cool, so I checked it out. It looked to me then like Instagram had become this new type of advertisement, like a place for artists and bands to post announcements like new song out or new video out or new project coming, and it just felt like a giant billboard that everyone saw and nobody remembered. I assumed the goal on Instagram was to look polished and professional, and okay, I have to admit it, I was wrong about so many things, and I let the technology totally pass me by, right? On the one hand, it's true, lots of people share a ton of BS about their world on Instagram, but I didn't realize this. Lots of people, especially indie artists, actually were making real connections with people. It's just not the kind of connections that I was used to. But when it comes to indie artists posting content, I learned that people scroll past anything that feels like a commercial, basically. When something feels personal, though, then the mind opens up a little bit and it lets the moment in. And that's why posts that feel honest and authentic and human always land deeper than the ones that feel polished. Instagram is a place to get a little personal sometimes, and though that can be misused by some people, it can also be super powerful. As I studied about Instagram, I was surprised by how much I actually misunderstood. I learned that the artists who grow on Instagram are not the ones who post the most perfect content, but they're the ones that show up like real people. That realization changed my entire view on Instagram, and now I get it. I mean, Instagram works best when you stop trying to impress the algorithm and start trying to connect with people. Your feed becomes the story that you're telling. Your stories become the place where people see your personality shine through, and your messages become the place where real relationships can form. When people see the small parts of your life, like the unpolished moments, then something familiar starts to form. I'm going to say it's kind of the same feeling you get when you watch a character on a TV show for years and years, and you start to feel like you know them, even though you've never met and they certainly don't know you. But, stories do that. They make you feel kind of close without being close. And once you stop posting like a marketer and start posting like a human being, then the platform opens up for you. That also explains why up to now I really haven't accomplished much on Instagram, because I've just been posting impersonal things to try to advertise my music. It's just totally the wrong approach. As I studied the platform more, I just kept seeing the same pattern. Artists who grow on Instagram often do three things really well. They show their world, they show their work, and they show that they care. I didn't invent these pillars, of course. I just discovered them by watching artists that are thriving. When Jose James shares his day in stories, it feels like you're sitting in the room with him. And it's not about performance at all. It's just about presence. People feel close to him because he lets them into his world. Or when Jordy Searcy replies to comments and messages with real intention, people feel seen. And when somebody feels seen, then they stay, they stick around. People respond to care with care. When Sam Evian shares his relaxed, unpolished studio life, you just feel right there with him. He uses stories like a casual diary rather than a marketing channel, and he shows process without trying to perform on the camera. You immediately feel like a vibe of calm, consistency, and human, and all of these things are just totally authentic. And artists like these are now shaping the way I think about Instagram, and they're helping me understand what I want to build for myself. Once I finally understood the mindset, I started studying the formats because, like I said, I'm a complete newbie with this stuff, and here's what I've learned. First, stories are where the trust is built. They feel like a private room with your audience, and they're low pressure and high connection, and they're easy on the mind. They don't ask much from you, really. They just feel like a friend checking in, and that's why they're probably the best place to start. And then second, carousels, they're where the depth lives, and they give you a space to tell a story or explain a lyric or share an emotional arc maybe. And when you tell a story, then people stop scrolling for a moment and they step into your world and they follow the thread and they feel the moment. And then third, reels are still like this discovery engine, but remember, people want honesty and people want moments that feel real, and people want to understand you and not watch you chase after trends. So when everything looks totally perfect, then nothing stands out. But when something feels real or maybe a little unscripted, then the mind wakes up. And it's the same feeling you get when you hear a song that takes a turn you didn't expect. You just want to hear where it goes, right? Each format has a purpose and each format fits into the plan. So are things starting to click now? Because for me, I feel like I'm starting to get it now. But at first, I didn't even know how to make a story or a carousel or a reel. Didn't know any of that stuff. And in case you're just as clueless as I was with Instagram, I'm going to get you started. So here's the deal on stories. They show up like small little circles at the very top of the Instagram app, both yours and others. And a colorful ring around the circle just means that there's a new story to watch. Tap the circle and it plays automatically. So how do you make one then? Well, just swipe right on your home screen or tap your circle on the plus button and then click on story. Snap a photo or a video or pick one from your gallery. Add fun stuff if you want, like text, stickers, music, all kinds of stuff. Tap your story to share it. And by the way, videos can be up to 60 seconds now, but shorter is better. And the trick is, after 24 hours, they're gone unless you save them. And that's basically it. Stories are just a casual, fast way to share daily stuff like behind the scenes or quick music updates. Carousels are actually really easy too once you get taught how. They show as one post in your feed or grid, and they have little dots at the bottom that indicate multiple slides. And just swipe left for the next slide or swipe right for the previous. One caption covers the whole carousel, and likes, comments, saves, and shares kind of apply to the entire post, right? Let me show you how to make one then. You just tap that plus icon and then select post, and then tap the multiple media icon, which looks like stacked squares. And you can pick up to 20 photos or videos from your gallery or mix them. Edit each slide if you want to, like use a crop or filters or text, stickers, music, whatever, and it applies to the whole post. And just whatever you want, right? Then add a caption. Tap that share to post it, and that's it. Like super easy. And for carousels, you can add trending music if you want extra reach or boost, but musicians can add their own music too, and Instagram apparently pushes carousels with audio a lot harder in 2026. And what about Reels? Well, they're simple too. What makes Reels a little bit different is they play kind of like a full screen vertically like a TikTok. And all right, I have to admit, old guys like me kind of don't like that vertical thing, but keep an open mind, all right? You scroll up or down to watch the next reel endlessly, and they appear in your profile grid with the play button icon and in the Reels feed. By the way, Instagram pushes Reels hard to new people. This is how you make a reel. Just tap that plus icon and then select Reel, or just swipe right for the Reel tab. Then record, like hold to film clips and tap to stop or start, or upload something from your gallery if you want to. If you want to edit your reel, you can add trending music or audio, effects, text, stickers, voiceover timers. So many different options, all kinds of stuff. And you can add a caption and a cover photo if you want. Honestly, just have fun and then tap share. That also shows in your feed. And reels can be up to 3 minutes long, but again, shorter ones like maybe 50 to 90 seconds often perform the best for quick hooks and retention. And as a teaser, I'm going to include this info in the plan that I'm going to share with you. Again, I'm building this plan slowly because I want it to be something I can sustain. And in the beginning, I'm literally only focusing on stories because I want to get comfortable showing up a few days a week without all that pressure. I want to share my home studio world and my experiments and my rituals and the things that I'm learning and the moments that make up my creative life. And then as the year goes on, I'll add more. I'll start interacting more in comments and messages, and I'll add simple reels, and I'll show you what I'm working on, right? Later, I'll bring in carousels and maybe a visual identity that feels like me. Eventually, I'll add lives and maybe small collaborations, and toward the end of the 12 months, I'm going to start paying attention to analytics and batching, so that way I can build a rhythm that lasts. Familiarity builds trust, and when people see you show up again and again, even in small ways, then you start to feel like a part of their week, You become someone that they recognize and not just someone that they scroll right past. I'm not trying to become an Instagram expert. I'm just trying to become fluent. Does that make sense? I want to reach a point where using this platform just feels natural and intuitive. I want a weekly rhythm that kind of supports my creativity instead of interrupting it. The artist I mentioned earlier taught me more than any tutorial ever could. Jose James taught me presence, Jordy Searcy taught me rhythm, Sam Evian taught me authenticity and brand, and when you see multiple artists growing in similar ways, then you start to notice the pattern. It's not luck, it's not an accident, right? It's something repeatable, it's something that you can learn from, and each of them shaped the plan that I'm actually building. Each of them helped me understand what Instagram can be when you use it with intention. Now, another vital thing that I learned, post less and interact more. Most artists think that growth comes from volume, but on Instagram in 2026, growth comes from connection. So if you spend 30 minutes posting and 90 minutes interacting, you're going to grow way faster than almost anyone. And when you take a moment to send somebody a thoughtful message, they're going to remember it. People respond to care with care. Like I said, that's just how humans work. A small gesture can turn a stranger into someone who stays with you for years and years. A thoughtful message can do more for your career than a viral clip could. Once I understood that, I realized how much potential I'd been ignoring. I've just been posting comments over and over and never interacting with people. Keep this in mind too. Consistent colors, fonts, mood, emotional tone. These things help, and when somebody sees your world and thinks, I feel like that too, then something clicks, right? They're not just liking your post, they're really choosing your corner of the internet as a place that they want to stand. People should recognize your post before they see your name. That's how you build a brand without feeling like a brand. Okay, so there's a few strategies that make the entire system stronger for you. I want to explain why they matter. Everything I've shared so far is kind of like the foundation, and this is the part that builds connection and trust. But once you have that foundation, there's a few things that can quietly multiply your results. And they're not flashy, they're not shortcuts. They're just the small habits that make the whole system feel smoother and more sustainable. And these are the things that I used to ignore because I thought they were optional, but now I see that they're the difference between feeling overwhelmed and feeling totally supported. Analytics are going to help you understand what resonates, not in a numbers obsessed way, but in a gentle way. You start to notice the moments that make people lean in. You start to see the patterns that feel alive. Instagram analytics are literally the numbers that show you how people are interacting with your content. They tell you things like how many people watched your stories, or how many people tapped forward or exited, and how many people saved or shared a post, and so much more, really. Think of analytics like the feedback from your audience, not a grade or anything like that. It's just analytics help you understand what's actually working so that you can make better decisions without guessing. Batching helps you stay consistent without burning out. It lets you create from a calm place instead of a rushed place, and it gives you breathing room. And batching means creating multiple pieces of content in one focused session instead of trying to come up with all these ideas and post them in real time. It's like the same principle as going into the studio and recording several vocal takes while you're warmed up, instead of trying to record one take every day of the week. You're grouping similar tasks together so that your brain kind of stays in the same mode, if that makes sense. Stories are the easiest format to batch because they're just low pressure and low production, and you can batch like talking clips, behind the scenes moments, thoughts, reflections, like little day in the life fragments, or just get creative. You can record 10 to 15 story clips in one 20-minute session and spread them across several days. Why not, right? This gives you consistency without the emotional cost of daily creation. Lives create real-time intimacy, and they let people feel your presence. They let people hear your voice without the filter of editing. Even a short live can make someone feel much more close to you. Instagram lives are like real-time video broadcasts where you talk directly to your audience, and then you can think of them like casual, low-pressure hangouts where people can join, listen, ask questions. They can even interact with you in the moment. It's kind of the closest thing Instagram has to an actual conversation. Lives create a type of connection that no other format can match. And like I've been saying, people don't expect lives to be polished and perfect. They just expect them to be human. And that's why they work so well for artists that want to build like real relationships instead of just chasing after trends. Owned audience layers protect you from algorithm changes, though. And this is just any group of people you can reach directly without relying on a platform's algorithm. So like an email list or a small community, which gives you a place where your connection can't be taken away. It's like your anchor, right? It's the difference between renting and owning. Instagram is like rented space, and your email list is like your home. So you don't need to sell anything. You just simply say things like, if you want to hear new music early, then join my email list. Or if you want behind the scenes stuff, here's my community. People who already like you are going to join, and you don't have to do any hard selling at all. Collaborations help your world overlap with someone else's, and they create a sense of shared space, right? They introduce you to people who are already open to your kind of energy. Collaborations are when two people share a single post or a reel together, and then the content appears on both of their profiles at the same time. It's like one piece of content with two audiences. Instagram literally merges the reach and the likes and the comments and the visibility, and collaborations help you reach new people who are already primed to like your work and build relationships with artists who share your values and grow without chasing trends or paying for ads. It's really the most natural way for indie artists to grow on Instagram because it's based on shared trust and not algorithms, and I love that. Fan content then builds community, and when somebody shares your work, they're not just promoting you, they're saying, I'm part of this, and that feeling matters. Fan content is literally anything that your fans create about you or about your music. It can be covers of your songs or reaction videos, edits, remixes, fan art, or even a dozen other things. And If a fan makes it, shares it, or tags you in it, that's fan content. Fan content is powerful because it shows something that you can't manufacture, right? Real people that care about your work. It's one of the most authentic forms of promotion because it doesn't come from you, it comes from the people who love what you do. Stream optimization then is simply making it easier for people who like your content to find your music and save it. This helps your music travel further, and it's like the practical side of the plan. It makes sure the emotional work that you're doing has a place to land. Make your links obvious and easy. People should never have to hunt for your music on Instagram. So you optimize it by putting your newest release link in your bio, pinning a post about the song, and using a clean, simple link page and adding the link to your stories regularly. And if somebody wants to listen, they should be able to get there in one tap, right? And this is not about gaming the system or anything like that. It's just about removing friction so that people who already like you can go deeper. Again, these are not the foundation. They're just the amplifiers, They help you build momentum that lasts. But I want to be clear also about what I'm not going to do with my plan. I'm not chasing trends. I'm not pretending to be an expert. I'm not trying to be perfect. And I'm not trying to impress the algorithm, right? I'm not trying to burn myself out, for goodness sakes. I'm building something sustainable, something human, something real. And actually, by the end of this year, I only want to feel fluent. I want to feel comfortable and I want to feel connected. I want a rhythm that supports my creativity instead of interrupting it. I want to build a world where people want to be a part of it. And I want to share everything that I learn along the way. So if you want the full 12-month roadmap I'm using, the exact plan that I'm following, I'm going to put it on my website as a free download, and I'll link it in the description for you. It's the same plan that I'll be using all year long, and I hope it gives you a place to start too. I'm learning Instagram in real time, and I'm building the system as a student and not as an expert. And I want to share every single thing that I learned because I know how hard it is to grow as an indie artist without a clear path. And if you want healthy growth, real fans, and a platform that you can build on for years, Instagram is worth your attention. I'm Kevin from Innovaniac Music. We help indie artists produce amazing music and build real audiences. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this, and until the next time, dream big and create boldly.
100 miles per hour on that see-through. All I ever had is to be true. More like Swiss cheese when I approach these words. They got holes in them, so deep you can fill them up and swim in them. Not advisable, I would try it though. Walk with a cane on a rainy day. Big teeth out, that's a smiley face. Lights on, lights off, I'ma make it happen. Wax on, wax off if you